hamster wheel, round and round and round, bankrupting us. And but it, like you said, it's a systematical thing. And when you get into these type of issues, where do you go for help?
Mm.
And in 2014, our FBI did a public with it was an Officer Geiger and several others, that it was February 18th or 19th, 2014, they did a directive that all public corruption would go to D.C. So who was in D.C.? Comey, McCabe, the players that are playing now or got caught playing with the whole Russian hoax with Trump.
Mm.
So we come down to, where do you go for help? And you may even question, why did the FBI do this? Why would they, all of a sudden, it was set up, this phone number, in order to keep an eye on all the public corruption? Well, we had McAuliffe, who took $130,000 from the Chinese nationalists. We have McAuliffe, when he got out of office, was sued for selling EB-5s with Hillary Rodham Clinton's brother. Now, how did Tim Kaine become the VP choice for Hillary Clinton? Her first choice was, and would have been by right and by history, McAuliffe.
Mm.
But he had the EB-5s. He had the Green Tech was the company that he was doing that with Hillary's brother. And so basically, and I'm trying to think, there was one other thing, which it'll come to me. So McAuliffe wasn't a choice, and then you come down to Mark Warner. I was illegally jailed in 2014. I was for $8,100 in legal fees. And I'm the ex-wife of the son of a judge. My stepmother-in-law is a Jewish attorney who, and I say that, and I say it carefully because I'm Catholic, but they basically run a blog on me and everything, calling me all kinds of names. So finally, when I would not stop pursuing, I was divorced without a property settlement, and I still don't have a property settlement. So I was jailed illegally. I was held 22 days. I was sentenced to 30 days for $8,100 in legal fees. And I was held in solitary confinement for 14 days until 5 o'clock on election day. And my belief is, I have a blog, and it's valaw2010.blogspot.com. And on that blog, I had put information about Mark Warner, pay to play, basically selling Pickett's, a federal judgeship to Pickett's daughter. It was when prior to now, when our legislature went completely Democrat. There was, just a one-seat difference at that point. That's, there's a lot that can be found about it. But then you go on to what I realized is the judges, I thought I could walk into the courtroom with the truth. I thought I could take my documents in there and, that had value. The one thing anybody who's involved in the judiciary has learned, the truth has no value in the courts in Virginia. To the point where one of the reasons I believe this is set up was Cynthia Kinzer, who was the Supreme Court Justice. There's quite a bit of information, and when she retired early, she stated very clearly, it was just too much, it was this, it was that. She's an active attorney right now. And she's also the ethics counsel for the state of Virginia Supreme Court, or at least was. I don't know if it changes every few years or whatnot. But she resigned early. It just so happens at the same time, Michael Gardner was let out of jail. Michael Gardner was in Falls Church. He was a heavy-duty fundraiser for all of the Democrats in Virginia, the heavy ones. His wife was the mayor. He molested several young girls. These girls were from McLean, Virginia, and were great girls. And the appeals court said, nope, you don't get out of jail. You had your chance. The Supreme Court let him out of jail.
Mm.
He then turned around and hired someone to kill the girls. So at the same time we had that going, we had in Northern Virginia the kangaroo court of Charles Severance, we had 5 murders where I live, where you open your front door and all of them were suspicious, and most likely the evidence doesn't point to him doing that. But what, we need to get back to your area and what brought me down here, was Charles Davis and the situation that he finds himself in. He is an invalid down in South Carolina, and in 2016 he went looking for his wife. He had been in contact with her on a regular basis. He came up here and basically, I don't know if you want to tell the story or you.
No, I've just kind of gotten involved in this thing, and I've seen some of the evidence and stuff. I think one of the most amazing things about this story that I think this is something we need to really find out about, what happened to the drugs. We're talking about a massive amount of drugs that was found in his home that he tried to turn over to the police, and he sent me documentation. They're now looking for some, as I understand it, the clerk in a proceeding as to a particular law enforcement officer, which this was with the state police that had investigated this, and supposedly had picked them up, and nobody knows where the drugs are. I mean, that's a pretty big issue.
I am aware of the fact that and have the pictures here that were sent regarding the drugs.
Let me just show
I don't
that.
know. They're black and white pictures, but it's.
We're talking about massive amount here, folks. Let's just take a look. We'll do more on this later. Just look at that. That's not all of them. And when he got back to his house and he tried to find his wife, he found these drugs at his house. And to make a long story short, and I'll let you elaborate on that, and he's trying to find his wife, couldn't find his wife. Nobody tell him where his wife was. Well, they found her dead in a parking lot, a Walmart parking lot in Stewart. And we'll go from there.
Yeah, unfortunately, in February 26th of 2019, Mrs. Carol Davis was found dead in the parking lot, and he did not even know at that time. It wasn't until several months later that he would find out that an investigator would actually contact Health and the Health and Human Services, vital records, and would get the information that she had died alone. He recently, or actually I recently put into, for him as an ADA advocate, the obituary. And I went to look for the obituary today to print out a copy to have with me, and I was denied access to it. And when I went back into, one of the things I asked when I was going to do the obituary was if they were a party to legacy, because I knew that Mr. Davis wanted it up there. He wanted it to have that, be able for people to put out there, that they were thinking about her, what funny stories, things that they remembered about her. And what I was told by the Martinsville Bulletin was that they keep their obituaries on their own site, and they're up there for life. Well, hers has been taken down. And I have here, which you can see, I printed out just shortly ago, from January 9th to December 26th. And this was put into the paper on January 1st. So we do have a copy of it here, showing it in the paper. So it did make it to the paper, but as far as keeping it online, I'm sure that there were several people who weren't happy it was online, because one of the things that took place was there was incorrect information put on the death certificate, and it was like they were hiding her death from him. And there hasn't been, from what I can tell, an investigation into why this was done, and the nursing home has taken it to court and had it corrected. But you would think the police were so aware of everything that took place that this wouldn't be a red herring to them, or, what's going on here.
Well, that's just, but you really think about what this has all been going on for some time, it's almost mind-boggling. It's just like, this can't happen. I mean, this is impossible. But it's real interesting that when I started looking into this case, I had another call on another case. And this is as much as mind-boggling as this one. The lady was in the nursing home. She had to go to the nursing home because she was being rehabilitated, because I think it was because of a fall where she fell out the bed. And her daughter was home one day, and the people from the oxygen company came into the home and said, "We're picking the oxygen up." She said, "For what?" She said, "Well, your mother's deceased." Well, her mother wasn't deceased. She was still alive, well, and getting ready, prepared to come home at the nursing home. Well, I've traced this down, and I'm still doing some more work on it, and it's still under investigation, so I don't want to be real careful. I'm not going to mention any names, and I'm not going to mention any nursing home. I'm not going to get into that right now. But this thing was blowing my mind. I said, this is not right. This is crazy. I've never heard anything like this in my life. So then, because of being come to find out, it was someone at the nursing home that reported to the oxygen company that she had died at the nursing home. That's what got the thing going. And so they, not only did they take her oxygen from the home, but they went back and the insurance company, as a result, Medicare, Medicaid, and all that, they won't pay the bill while she was in the hospital or the nursing home. And then it gets a little more crazy. They had her transferred out of Barnesville to Danville to another care center. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I do know this. I do know the Justice Department's in town looking into that. And I'm trying to get in touch with that investigator. But for some reason, they don't want them talking to me. And I told the person that's trying to make the connection that I said, I won't put it on TV if it's going to jeopardize your investigation. The only thing I want to do is ask a few questions. And then when something gets ready to go, I want to know, who to go to get a statement in this thing. But it looks like that this is going to be a criminal case. And how all that happened and what's going on, but I mean, that's as wild as this.
Guardianship is the biggest scam and scheme of the United States of America. And it's happening from one shore to the other shore. And I'm doing a lot of work with it, because what happens is that I have one client, he spent over $100,000 in legal fees, and finally they murdered his mother. And it's a problem we've got. The judges, the lawyers have figured out all these different silos of how they can steal all of our money. And it starts with the guardianships for the elderly. It's the divorces for families. It's the abscoption of children. I said that wrong, but it's you know, the drugs and everything that we've got going on, it takes a lawyer. And so my ex-husband's father was a judge, my stepmother-in-law a divorce attorney. I was divorced without a property settlement. It was a planned scheme. The reason I bring that back up again is I've sat at the table and I've seen the judges trade favors for the outcome of court. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, weekend getaway, sex, almost anything can buy your case. If you're going to go in front of a judge, you want to know which law firm he was in, who his friends are, who his buddies are, because that's how you're going to win. But you're also going to pay anywhere in our area up in Northern Virginia, $700 to $1,200 an hour for the attorney.
How much again?
$700 to $1,200 for the attorney that's going to get you out of that situation. Because the truth isn't going to do it. The truth is not going to get you out of that situation. It's going to be who you know.
And, you know,
And even going outside the box and coming on here and talking about things that necessarily isn't going to help you, it can hurt you as well.
and you know, being here in this area on television, I get so many calls about these things. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, how can that happen? That can't be true. But there's too many things that are going on. And some of these people that have called and contacted me and told me some things know what they're talking about, because I've verified it and I've checked with other people. And the more I checked and checked and checked, but it's like in fact, right now, I've got at least 5 people that are.
They had unbelievable stories.
Oh my gosh! You just think they're a nutcase. We got this black guy, and everybody thought he was a nut. He is a little.
He's got some personality.
Hyper, and he's had some problems. But he does his homework, and I looked into that at one time, and I thought, man, he's right. They're getting ready to hang him for nothing. And I helped him on that a little bit. And he came out good. But now he's gotten a little more contemptuous in what he's going, and he's taking it to another level too. He's not in this area, but he used to be in this area. They ran him out of this area.
Yeah.
Woo! I know another situation of a girl, and this is going to come up. I mean, that's why you're going to have to come back, because they railroaded her whole family, ran them out of the home, and took their daddy, dropped them off up here at the nursing home, just dropped them off. And they've taken his over all of his money. And when they told me that, I said, this can't happen. But I know this person, and I've been working with this person for several years. It's not only that. She's got information on how it's connected to the banks and who the banks are, and they try to shut her up.
So this is what they do. This is kind of how the scheme works with the guardianships. A judge comes in and he takes a mother or a father or even both of them. And there's several movies out about this that goes into it. So the father and the mother have taken. Now the judge says, you know what, you kids, you're fighting over this stuff. We're going to put a trustee in charge as the guardian. So now the trustee owns everything.
Hold on to that thought. We got to take a break.
Oh, okay.
Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back.